Hello everybody. Today we're using a recipe that's going to be using these smoked ham hocks. And there was 4 big ones in the package. I took 2 out and put them in the freezer because I didn't want to cook all 4 of them together. It just makes too much for one person. So I'm going to cook the 2 of them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wash these off. Get my colander out of here. And yes, I'm putting them in a small pot right now because I want to start cooking them a little bit. And I'm going to quick soak my beans that I'm going to put with them. Now I'm going to add garlic powder. I'm going to add onion powder. And I've got garlic here. Now you can, you might say, well, why are you adding garlic if you already put garlic powder? Because I like to put garlic powder in there. I mean, garlic, salt, and powder. It makes a difference. I don't know how it does, but it does. But I'm going to cook those. Bring them to a boil and leave them on a low simmer while my beans are soaking. And what we're going to do with the beans, I've got a great big bag of pinto beans here. Looks like my camera is crooked. There, that's a little better. But for those of you that don't have a pressure pot, you know, usually I cook my beans, especially my pinto beans, in a pressure cooker. But some of you don't like to do that. You like to cook it the old-fashioned way. Just put them in a pot and slow cook them. So that's what we're going to do today. But we are going to quick soak them. And to do that, I'm not cooking all these beans. I'm going to cook about half of them. Because this is about a 3 or 4 pound bag. And I've already cooked some out of them. I think that's about a pound probably that I just took out in there. Oh, this is 4 pounds. So I've still got about a pound of beans left here that I can cook another time. Maybe make chili or something out of them. But I'm going to look through them first. Because sometimes you get grains of dirt. I mean, like little things of dirt in there. Not very often, but sometimes you do. And we're going to wash them. bring my pot over here so I don't drip this water everywhere. I'm going to put just about enough water in here to make about 1 inch above the beans. There, that's it. And we're going to bring it to a boil. I also have an onion that I'm going to add to my ham hocks. This way my ham hocks are going to be cooking slowly while the beans are going to be soaking. Because we've got to bring this to a boil. Then I'm going to turn the heat off. I'm going to cover the beans, and I'm going to leave them set for an hour before we cook them. But in the meantime, my ham hocks are going to be cooking. And I just can't get past having to. And yes, I'm going to add chopped onion to my ham hocks, y'all. Or I may just add it to my beans later, because I've got to cook my beans. But I'm going to go ahead and cut it up right now. Now, you know, if you don't want onion in yours, you don't have to put it. I love onions in my beans. I put onions and onion powder, as you can see. And I'm getting onions all over the stove. And I think that'll be enough right there. Maybe another half a slice. But I'm not ready to add them yet. But those are starting to boil. I'm going to cover them and let them slow cook while these are going to be soaking. I've been wanting some beans, good old home cooked beans, for a while now. But just make sure you bring them to a good boil. I just got out of the shower, y'all. My hair is still wet. That's the reason I haven't got it put up. It's another hot day in Texas, y'all. And I prefer not to cook my beans in the crock pot. You can, but I like the broth that comes with the beans and the ham hock and all that when you slow cook it in a pot rather than cooking it for 8 hours in the crock pot. There's just a little bit of difference in the way it cooks, put it that way. Okay, it's almost trying to start to boil here. We don't add anything to our beans yet because we're just going to soak them. And then we have a few other steps before we actually add seasoning to the beans and start cooking the beans. Actually, we got all our seasonings in the ham hock, so. Okay, just bring your beans to a boil. Put your lid on it and leave it sit. Turn the burner off. Bring it to a boil, let it, and then just cover your pot with a lid and leave it sit for at least an hour. Well, the timer went off. So my beans have been soaking for an hour. And what I'm going to do now is just pour them in the colander over here. And we're going to rinse them off real good. Whoops. Now we're going to rinse them. And I'm going to put them right back in the pot. And at this point, I'm going to add my ooh, that's hot. I'm going to add my ham hocks and my liquid, my broth. Don't that look good in there? And I'm going to add a little bit more water. I'm going to add part of these onions, not all of them. I got another idea for these onions. Now, I don't know if y'all have ever used any of this. This is ham flavored concentrate. And it comes in little packets like that. Just tearing off of a packet. But you add this, you can add it to, it's a smoked country ham broth. Add this packet to beans, soups, stews, rice, eggs, vegetables, you know, anything that you want a ham flavor to. And we're just going to give it an added boost. Get this burner back on. With those ham hocks that probably don't even need it, but I add it anyway. And get it out of the package. I'll just use a teaspoon. I'm just going to stir it up a little bit. I am going to taste it for seasoning. That's good. I think it's got the right amount of garlic salt, onion. But I am going to put in just a little bit. You know, I think I put that in my ham hocks, didn't I? But I'm going to add a little bit more, not much. I like my garlic. And we're not going to salt our beans until they're completely cooked, because there's salt in that ham, and since I'm going to cook the ham hocks in my beans right now, more salt and the flavor of the ham hocks are going to come out into the broth, and I don't want to get it too salty. So we're not going to add salt until the beans are cooked tender, and then I might add a little bit of salt at that point if I need it. But now we're going to bring this to a boil, bring it back to a boil, and cook it for 2 to 3 hours until the beans are tender. And why is it a watch pot never boils? But yeah, bring it to a boil and just let it low simmer for about 3 hours. Might come to a boil faster if I put the lid on it. But there you go. Just cook it for about 3 hours and I'll be back. Well, y'all, my beans have been cooking for 2 hours. And at this point, I'm going to take my ham hocks out and let them cool. I mean, you can leave them if you want. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take them out. So I can kind of break them apart. Let me turn this fan off. I had it going so it wouldn't fill the house with so much hot air from cooking. But see, there's some great big pieces of ham. And I'm just going to get that ham off of the bone. And I don't like a lot of this fat either, so I'm going to get a lot of that off of there. I mean, a lot of people that like eating these will just, whoop, I dropped it. Oh well, I'll get it in a minute. But I'm going to put those big chunks of meat back in there. And I got a bunch of beans on my plate here that I picked up with the bone. I mean, it don't look like there's much meat on this bone, either one of these bones, but there is. There's quite a bit of meat on there. And there's quite a bit of fat on there too that I don't want in my beans, so. Man, I got a bunch of beans here. Put my beans back in there. At this point, the ham hock has basically done its job as far as seasoning my beans. I think I'm going to need a knife for this. Well, no, I don't think I will. It reminds me of picking chicken off the bone when you cook a whole chicken. I mean, and you don't have to do this, it's my preference. Because me, I don't like all that fat, and I don't eat all that fat. But some people would just put a whole ham hock in their plate with their beans, and then just eat everything. They'd eat the fat and everything. I don't like all that. I love it for seasoning, but I don't want to eat it. And notice I said earlier to cook your beans for 3 hours. We're going to cook them for 3 hours. But after 2 hours, you can take your ham hock out and get your little bit of meat off of your bones if you want to. Like I said, some people would just leave the whole thing there. But ham hocks are just basically for seasoning your beans, that type of thing. And if I'd have cooked all 4 of them, I'd have had a little bit more meat, but I didn't need all 4 of them for this little bit of so there, I got my meat off of the bones, and I'm going to cook it for another hour. Just keep them simmering for another hour. Well, y'all, I'm back. Our beans have been cooking for 3 hours altogether. Oh, I don't like scraping the bottom of that with it. But I'm going to let those continue cooking. And we're going to make something with these onions that I left here that are chopped up. I was going to make just plain old cornbread, and I decided no. I've got a half a cup of flour in there. Now I'm putting about a half a cup of cornmeal. I'm going to mix in some garlic powder. Now, some of you may not like to season them, but I like seasoning mine. And I'm making bloomin' onion, y'all. The easy way, bloomin' onion. I love bloomin' onions, but, you know, it's so hard and complicated to try to fry a whole onion the way they do in the restaurants. And I'm going to add paprika. And I did put in garlic powder, onion powder, and a little bit of paprika. We're going to stir that up. And my timer's still going. So my beans they haven't quite been in there another hour, but almost. But I figured by the time I got my bloomin' onion fritters cooked, that the beans would be done. And I got it 1 egg. Now, if you want to fix more than what I'm fixing, feel free to double, triple, or whatever your recipe. I'm going to add milk. And I'm going to add just a little bit at a time because I don't know how much I want in there. I don't want it real soupy, so to speak. But I don't want it too hard either, you know, solid. Yeah, I said, what would be better than a bloomin' onion fritter to eat with my beans? That's even better than plain cornbread. Now we're just going to get this all mixed up before we add our onions. And you know, they're predicting we're going to get rain probably in the next 2 hours. They've been forecasting a little thunderstorm about 8 and 9 o'clock. 60% chance at 8, 50% chance at 9. So I am hoping we do get it. Y'all, I had just right about enough milk in there to do this. I couldn't have judged it any better. Now I'm going to add my onions. And this is going to be kind of tricky because I'm going to end up with them all over the place, I know. This is just one medium-sized onion cut up. And you know what? I'm going to put some olive oil in my pan while I'm mixing up my fritters here. And be getting my oil hot. And I've already got me a plate with a paper towel. Oh my goodness, this is going to make me blooming onions for the next week. Just a half a cup of flour and a half a cup of cornmeal, an egg, 1 onion, and some milk. That's all you need. Now, if you're going to make more than this, I would put 2 eggs in. But since I've got just 1 cup of combined cornmeal and flour, 1 onion, and about a half a cup of milk, or 3/4 cups of milk. Oh, I love blooming onions, y'all. I had never heard of a blooming onion before. And I went to this restaurant with a friend of mine in Fort Worth. Thank God it's Friday. I don't know if you have Thank God it's Friday restaurants in your area. But they serve some of the best blooming onions you'll ever eat in your life. I mean, it's a great big onion, you know, cut, and it's opened up like a flower. It's dipped in the batter, and then it's deep fried, and they put it on your platter in front of you hot with dipping sauce, and you break the little pieces of the onion off and eat it. It's so good. And I got to thinking about that during the time I was cooking these, and I said, oh my goodness, I've got to have me some blooming onions. Now I'm going to put about a teaspoon or tablespoon of this in here at a time, because I'm using a teaspoon, but by the time I mound it up, that's going to be a good tablespoonful. And you know, you can mix this up. You don't have to cook them all at one time. You can maybe fry what you will eat at one time, and then maybe in the next day or two cook more of them. And I got to turn that down. I don't want it to burn. They're going to be good. And check on my beans. Oh yeah, they're gonna be some good eating right there. Now you don't want to deep fry them too fast, but you want the grease hot enough that it keeps them together. Get them brown good, but you want your onions to cook a little bit. I did a video on making the bloomin' onion fritters last year, and that was all I did was in the video was make these bloomin' onions, the bloomin' onion fritters, and I tell you what, they were to die for. And I'm going right back to my old ways. I can always flip something like this better, I think, with my fork than I can anything else. And see, I've got a whole bowl here. I've got bloomin' onions to cook for a whole week here. Oops. So I mean, just a half a cup of cornmeal, half a cup of flour, 1 egg, half a cup of milk makes a lot of bloomin' onions, and 1 good size onion. Yellow onion. I'm gonna go ahead and put another one in there. Cook just a little bit more. I want it a little bit more brown. I don't think I'm going to fry all of them. I'll put some of them in a container, or some of the batter in a container, and fry them sometime later in the week. I think 8 or 9 of these things is going to be enough, and I won't be able to eat all those. I mean, I'll be eating them tomorrow. But if you let them get browned on one side really good, they're real easy to flip over. I'm going to go ahead and turn my pot of beans off and let them rest a minute while I finish cooking these. Yeah, they'll start getting a little dry looking on top, just like your corn fritters, you know. And that's when they're easy to flip over. Like that. It's no wonder I can't keep my weight down. I mean, I got all this good southern food that I shouldn't be eating, that I love to eat. So what are you gonna do? Yeah, I'm gonna put this batter right here in this container. I mean, if I had a lot of people to help me eat it, I'd cook it all, but that yeah, I turned my beans off just in time, didn't I? That signified the other hour. And all I'll have to do when I get ready to cook the rest of those is just add a little bit more milk. Just add a little bit more milk. Mix them up a little bit, pop them right in the hot grease just like I'm cooking them now, and you'll never know they've been in the batter has been in the refrigerator for a day or two. So that's what I'm doing. I've got just that much more right there. So if you live alone, you know, you can still fix stuff like this. No problem. Now you don't even have to make them as thick as I did. You could put half a teaspoon in there, flatten them out real good. They'll fry even faster. Mine look basically like a cornbread fritter. Just like a little patty of cornbread is what mine's looking like. I could have got my first batch a little bit browner. Well, at least if we do have that little thunderstorm that they said's coming through, or may come through, I got my dinner cooked. Now I'm going to show you how I serve it. First of all, I'm going to put a good helping of my beans. Now you don't have to serve them in a bowl like I do. I just do it because I like to do that. put a couple of my bloomin' onion fritters over here. Now, I like to eat mine with ranch dressing dip. You can serve it with any type of dip you want. I think TGI Fridays serves it with ranch dressing or something similar. But you can certainly serve it with blue cheese or whatever you like. And I put that right there. Get all this out of the way. But there you go. There is my dinner tonight. Don't that look good? Trying to find me one of these that's cooled off a little bit so I can bite into it. I'm going to dip it right here. Just a little bit. And I'm going to bite it. Oh my goodness. Y'all. Oh, I forgot the most important thing. Dear Lord, bless this food I'm about to eat. Bless all the YouTubers out there. Bless everybody in need of prayer. Bless my family, my friends. Keep us safe. Amen. Gotta try these. Got me some ham up on there. Some of that ham hock. Look at that. Y'all open wide. Hot. Hot and so good, y'all. Now, if you wanted to make these and have them less like a cornbread fritter, put less cornmeal and less flour. Only maybe put a quarter of a cup of flour, quarter a cup of cornmeal, 1 egg, and your onion. Mine is like a cross between a bloomin' onion and a cornbread fritter, which is so good. I love it. Oh my goodness. Y'all, that is good. Well, I'm going to sit down over here and I'm going to enjoy my dinner. I've waited all day to eat it, so. But I wanted to show you the old-fashioned way of cooking this dish. Gotta wipe my fingers off. Because, you know, most people today are using Instapots, pressure cookers, which I've always used pressure cooker to cook my pinto beans. Because you can cook them in an hour. Where it took these 3 hours. Plus the hour to quick soak the beans. But you can certainly do these same beans, the same recipe in an Instapot or a crock pot. But this is the old-fashioned way of doing things, so I wanted to show you. Because a lot of people said when I cooked the beans in my pressure cooker, they said, well, I don't have a pressure cooker, I'm afraid of them. So I can't cook them like that. So this is your video. I'm showing you the old-fashioned way to cook ham hock, pinto beans, and bloomin' onion fritters. So with that, I'm going to sit down over here and enjoy my dinner. Y'all have a blessed night, and I'll see you on the next one. Look at that. Oh, that is going to be so good, y'all.